Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel video. Today we talk about the history of America. The history of America. A long time ago, around 15,000 years ago, and possibly even earlier, the land we now call America was already home to people. Long before cities, flags, or borders existed, Native American tribes lived across this vast land. They hunted, farmed, built communities, and passed knowledge from one generation to another. These people were not visitors or settlers. They were the first people to call America home. Historians believe that the first humans came to America during the last ice age. At that time, large parts of the earth were covered in ice. Sea levels were much lower than they are today. This created a land bridge called Beringia, which connected Asia to North America. Small groups of people slowly crossed this land bridge, following animals in search of food. Over thousands of years, they spread across the continent, reaching forests, mountains, deserts, and coastlines. As these early people moved and settled, they adapted to their surroundings. Some lived near rivers and became skilled fishermen. Others settled in forests and learned how to hunt deer and smaller animals. In warmer regions, people learned how to grow crops such as corn, beans, and squash. Over time, these groups formed distinct tribes, each with its own language, traditions, beliefs, and way of life. Native American societies were rich and complex. They had systems of government, spiritual beliefs, and strong connections to nature. Many tribes believed that humans were part of the natural world, not rulers over it. They respected animals, rivers, forests, and the land itself. This deep respect shaped how they lived and made decisions. Some tribes lived in large villages, while others moved seasonally. The Iroquois Confederacy, for example, formed one of the earliest democratic systems in the world. It united several tribes under shared laws and councils. In the Southwest, tribes like the ancestral Puebloans built stone houses and cliff dwellings that still amaze people today. In the Great Plains, tribes such as the Lakota followed buffalo herds and lived in portable homes called tipis. For thousands of years, Native Americans thrived on this land. They traded with each other, told stories through oral traditions, and developed art, music, and ceremonies. Their history was long and meaningful, even though it was not written down in books. Knowledge was passed through stories, songs, and teachings from elders to children. Everything began to change near the end of the 15th century. In 1492, a European explorer named Christopher Columbus reached the Caribbean islands. He believed he had found a new route to Asia, but instead, he had reached a land unknown to Europeans. This moment marked the beginning of a new and painful chapter in American history. Soon after Columbus, explorers from Spain, France, England, and other European countries began arriving. They came in search of land, wealth, and power. At first, some encounters between Native Americans and Europeans were peaceful. They traded goods and shared knowledge. Native Americans taught Europeans how to grow crops like corn and survive in unfamiliar environments. However, these peaceful moments did not last. Europeans brought diseases such as smallpox and measles, which Native Americans had never experienced before. Without immunity, millions of Native Americans died. Entire villages disappeared. This loss weakened tribes and changed the balance of power. As European settlements grew, conflict increased. Europeans claimed land without understanding or respecting Native American ownership. Forests were cleared, rivers were changed, and hunting grounds were destroyed. Many tribes were forced off their ancestral lands through violence, broken treaties, and unfair laws. By the early 1600s, Permanent European colonies were established along the eastern coast of North America. The English founded Jamestown in 1607 and Plymouth in 1620. These colonies depended heavily on Native American help in their early years, but as they grew stronger, they pushed Native Americans aside. Life in the colonies was hard. Settlers faced hunger, harsh winters, and conflict. Over time, colonies grew into towns and cities. People came from Europe seeking freedom, land, or a better life. However, freedom was not for everyone. One of the darkest chapters in American history began with the rise of slavery. Millions of Africans were kidnapped, transported across the Atlantic Ocean, and forced into slavery. They were treated as property, not human beings. Slaves worked on farms, plantations, and in homes under brutal conditions. Their labor helped build the colonial economy, especially in the southern colonies. By the 1700s, tensions grew between the colonies and Great Britain. Colonists were angry about high taxes and lack of representation in British government. This led to the American Revolution, which began in 1775. Colonists fought for independence, believing they deserved the right to govern themselves. In 1776, the colonies declared independence with the Declaration of Independence, written mainly by Thomas Jefferson. It stated that, "All men are created equal," though this promise did not yet apply to women, slaves, or Native Americans. After years of war, the colonies won independence, and the United States of America was born. A new government was formed, and the Constitution was written. It created a system based on democracy, freedom, and law. Still, many people were excluded from these freedoms. Slavery continued, Native Americans were pushed westward, and women had few rights. As the nation grew, settlers moved west in search of land and opportunity. This movement was encouraged by the idea of manifest destiny, the belief that Americans were destined to expand across the continent. This expansion came at a terrible cost to Native Americans. In the 1830s, the U.S. government forced many tribes to leave their lands. The most tragic example was the Trail of Tears, when thousands of Cherokee people were forced to walk hundreds of miles to new land. Many died from hunger, disease, and exhaustion. By the mid-1800s, the nation was deeply divided over slavery. Southern states depended on slave labor, while many northern states opposed it. These tensions led to the American Civil War in 1861. It was the deadliest war in American history. The war ended in 1865, and slavery was officially abolished. This was a major step toward freedom, but the struggle for equality was far from over. Former slaves faced discrimination, violence, and unfair laws. Reconstruction efforts tried to rebuild the South and protect newly freed people, but progress was slow. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, America experienced rapid industrial growth. Factories, railroads, and cities expanded. The 20th century brought major changes. America fought in 2 world wars, becoming a global power. The Great Depression caused widespread poverty, but reforms helped the nation recover. After World War II, America experienced economic growth and social change. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s challenged racism and segregation. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. fought peacefully for equality and justice. Laws were passed to protect civil rights, though challenges remained. In recent decades, America has continued to change. It has faced wars, economic crises, and social debates. Technology has transformed daily life. People from many cultures and backgrounds now call America home. Today, America is a nation built on many stories, stories of hope, struggle, pain, and progress. Its history is not perfect, but it is powerful. From the first Native American tribes to modern cities, America's past reminds us where we came from and helps guide where we are going. The history of America is not just about land or power. It is about people, those who lived, dreamed, fought, and believed in a better future. Understanding this history helps us respect the sacrifices made and encourages us to build a more just and united world.